This activity is one that translates very differently between in-person and online settings. I'm talking about quizzes and polls and tests, all those things that students love to hate. So in person, a quiz might not be received as well. It could be stressful, it could be annoying, and your attendees or students might not like it. But polls online are a way for instructor and attendee engagement. It's also a way for the facilitator to be able to see who's actively there and engaged, actively paying attention, how well the content is being perceived. How horrible is it when you have 100 attendees logged online, all of their videos are off, you push a poll thinking that maybe they don't want their videos to be on, but they're all there, and then maybe 30 people answer the poll. That typically means you're not very engaging and they're multitasking and doing their email or not even in front of their computer. There's a wide variety of ways to do polls. So one example is through Zoom. So I'm going to push 2 questions to you right now, and then we'll debrief it from a facilitator standpoint, and then I will talk about other options. If you are doing a poll from Zoom, then you have to log in ahead of time and you have to upload all of the questions. This is not ideal when you are an invited speaker or you have speakers that are coming who might need polls. Everything has to be done upfront ahead of time and logged into the system. You cannot create polls in the moment, right? So you can see I have these down here. How much have you enjoyed this session so far? And engagement has how many parts, 1, 2, 3, or 4. So I'm going to be really critical on Zoom polls right now. The only real pro is that it's within the system. So you have attendees who, if you have attendees that are mostly logging in from their phone, it helps to minimize switching back and forth between different programs. It's a pop-up that happens right in Zoom. So you can see how long it takes people to fill out to see if they're actually there. Might not be the best thing if they're not actually there, right? Cons, you have to be the one who sets up the meeting in order to set up the polls. Or you have to send the questions to the organization and then just pray that they put them in right. Polls have to be set up ahead of time. Zoom polls in particular have to be multiple choice. And unless you set up the poll yourself, it's not easily saved after. It's not very visually appealing. It's just a little pop-up, right? There are many different ways that you can use polls. So I just went to Google and I just typed in free online live polling. And this was the very first website that came up. I'm not joking, very first website, and then I clicked on it. And I created this morning. You can see it says home, my first presentation, trying to give you a very realistic output of what this would look like. Now, the cool thing with this is that you can create any question type you want. You can have multiple choice, you can have word cloud, you can have open-ended, scales, ranking. You can see competitions, you can do slides, you can have advanced questions, right? And this is all free. So then you would just create your question, then you would make it go live. So I can send you guys the link and then you can fill it out. And then I can present the results to you in real time. So this would be describe your feelings about returning to live events in 1 word. So I am going to share that link with you and then we're going to fill it out and I'll show you what it looks like. So again, this is one of hundreds of programs. If you're involved in education, we like to use Poll Everywhere. There's a lot that are free for education, or they have free up to a certain number of users or free up to a certain number of questions. So it just depends on the program. So I've dropped that chat in there. And the cool thing with this, unlike Zoom polls, is that it's super visually appealing. So like here I am, and as you guys are typing things in, it's changing in real time, right? You can see that it looks like most people are excited, but we have anxious and scared and concerned. Look at how awesome that is. Look at how engaging that is. You're like, ooh, and it's like moving and your eyes are catching it, right? That is so much better than a Zoom poll where it's like A, B, C, or D. Okay, I'm gonna click next. 40% of you said A, 20% of you said B, right? That's cool. This is amazing. Again, you have to think about the purpose and how it's being used. So it looks like we have a lot of excited, anxious, concerned, and scared. So we've got skeptical, can't wait, hopeful, overwhelmed, relieved. A lot of event planners were scared about using these at the beginning because maybe people would type in inappropriate things. But a lot of these systems now have an option to hide, questionable content, which is based around certain words. So let's see. So some facilitator notes. As you can see, there are so many options of how you can interact with attendees. The most important thing always, always, always is that you're tying it to your purpose and keeping your target audience in mind. So word clouds would be great for brainstorming, they're visually appealing, but polls might be great for real-time quantitative data, proof of return on investment, etc. There's a lot of other engaging poll-related things you can do as well. You can do this yourself, or you can encourage your presenters. Maybe they put their presentations in a system like Slido. Slido was popular before the pandemic, but essentially you would put your PowerPoint or your presentation in Slido, and then people can ask questions anonymously, and then other attendees could upvote or downvote your question. So these are really popular in big conferences where you can now prioritize your Q&A time to questions that most people are related to or where there's a pressing need for. So I'm gonna send all of these links for the systems that we used, Slido and for Zoom, the back end after the meeting. But I just want you to know that there's hundreds of programs that you can investigate for live interaction.